In the spring of 1986, Reactor No. 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant exploded, releasing a massive plume of radioactive isotopes. It was a site of total technological failure, where an invisible, lethal threat forced the evacuation of thousands. Fast forward 33 years, and the scene looks entirely different. By 2019, the Exclusion Zone was packed with tourists in summer clothes, snapping photos next to the rusting Ferris wheel in Pripyat. This chart tracks the annual number of visitors to the zone. The data shows a steady climb through the 2010s, until the final bar for 2019 towers over the rest, representing nearly 130,000 tourists and making Chernobyl the most popular destination in all of Ukraine. How exactly did a radioactive wasteland become a vacation hotspot? And what happens to a tourist economy built on a manufactured sense of danger when a very real, active threat returns? Over the decades, the zone was successfully packaged as a digestible apocalypse. It relied on a strict illusion of stability, allowing visitors to experience the aesthetics of a disaster with the guarantee of a safe bus ride home. Commercial tours only became viable because background radiation levels dropped significantly over time. Once the immediate, deadly risk faded, a market for curiosity emerged. Tourism researchers classify the people drawn to these sites as allocentric. These are highly confident, novelty-seeking travelers who feel a distinct psychological urge to confront fear and explore forbidden spaces. Media consumption supercharged this urge. The video game S.T.A.L.K.E.R introduced a whole generation to the zone's decaying aesthetics, and the 2019 HBO miniseries Chernobyl functioned as a global advertisement, practically doubling visitor numbers overnight. Most of those tourists followed the legal route. They stuck to heavily vetted paths with licensed guides to view strictly managed landmarks, like the massive new Safe Confinement structure sealing off the destroyed reactor core. But a separate subculture actively rejected those boundaries. Stalkers illegally bypassed military checkpoints to spend days navigating the ruins, sleeping in abandoned buildings and climbing decaying Soviet radar infrastructure to find an authentic thrill. Whether taking selfies on a guided tour or sneaking through the woods at night, visitors consumed danger as an experience. They bought a controlled adrenaline rush that entirely ignored the lingering reality of the zone. That illusion of control vanished on February 24, 2022. The Russian invasion transformed the quiet, overgrown exclusion zone back into a primary target, placing it at the center of an active military theater. The sudden assault caught everyone inside off guard. Invading forces captured the remaining power plant personnel, while illegal stalkers hiding in the ruins suddenly found themselves trapped in a live combat zone. Today, the infrastructure of the power plant serves a vastly different purpose. Strategic choke points and administrative buildings have been reclaimed and fortified as active military positions. The ground itself is lethal again. Retreating forces left behind dense networks of landmines and unexploded artillery shells, making a casual hike through the forest an immediate life-and-death gamble. The zone has pivoted from an open-air museum simulating the 1980s to a landscape of modern warfare. The presence of active munitions and military fortifications forces it off the tourism spectrum entirely. The entrance checkpoints are locked down, the souvenir stands are gone, and the entire area remains strictly off-limits to the thrill-seekers of the previous decade. Yet, Ukraine is actively working to secure UNESCO World Heritage status for Chernobyl. The initiative aims to protect the physical evidence of the 1986 disaster alongside the scars of the 2022 defense. When the zone eventually reopens, the narrative will expand. Future visitors will view the remnants of a technological failure alongside the trenches and outposts where a modern military defended its territory. The appeal will shift away from adrenaline-fueled exploration. Future visits will demand a solemn, educational focus, confronting tourists with multiple historical layers of trauma and survival. Chernobyl has accrued decades of heavy history. Through radiation, abandonment, and invasion, the site stands today as a complex monument to human resilience and a nation's ability to survive.